Hey guys, Dean from Geekade here. I am the General Administrator for Geekade, if you don't know, and also the self-proclaimed Vest Lord of the website. So for those of you out here, I am bringing back my little shindig called Bit Bytes. Bit Bytes is a thing that I just do when I talk about video games, comic books, stuff like that, in general with pop culture and everything. And I just really wanted to get back into producing video content for our website, geekade.com. Here's a link down there. And I really missed it and I wanted to get back into it, and I found some spare time, so I'm going to start doing stuff like this probably weekly or bi-weekly under the name Bit Bytes with your host, the Vest Lord Dean DeFalco. So without any further ado, I'd like to get into our first topic, which really holds a near and dear place in my heart, and that are failed MOBAs. Now, failed probably isn't the real word for this, but failed MOBAs really contain games that have been discontinued, ones that have stopped being developed, ones that have stopped updates, and things that I've played that just, really haven't made the mark as far as like big MOBAs go, like Battleborn, League of Legends, Dota 2, things like that. These are games that maybe had a big burst of popularity for a little bit and then kind of fell back under the rafters, unfortunately. They're games I really enjoyed, and I did play them all, so I hope you guys do enjoy this. But before we get into everything, I've been playing MOBAs for a really long time. Even when League of Legends was in its alpha, I was playing. And I have some cool things I wanted to show you today that I really think are neat and show how long I've been playing these games. This is something I picked up when I was working at GameStop. These are collector's packs for the League of Legends game when it originally came out and released in stores. Yeah, that's right. There was a disc for this thing, and it's pretty cool. I'm going to show it to you real quick. This has a little sleeve on it. We'll take the sleeve out. Unfortunately, there's no real cover art in here, but we do get this cool fold out of like some of the original characters and stuff. For those of you guys who are like new to the scene and maybe just started like a couple seasons ago, some of these characters might not look all that familiar anymore. We got Tristana, Kale, Rise, there's an Amumu on the back here, there's a Tryndamere and stuff. Really cool things. I played for probably 3 or 4 seasons, then I just couldn't do it anymore. Just time and stuff. But here we go. Here is the disc to the game, which is really neat. And we also have, I believe it's a map of, what do they call that? Runeterra? Something or other. RuneScape, I don't know if I know. It's been a long time, but we'll just unfold this real quick. I want to be a little careful here because this is something that I really don't want to hurt. It's kind of a thing of my pats. So let's see what this is called real quick. Does this have a name? No. This is just literally the land of League of Legends, and it has all the different towns and stuff from the original iteration of the game, which I think is really cool. And then on the back, it has some bios for the characters, which are neat. Again, stuff like I've just kind of forgot about after a while, and I figured while I was going to be talking about this stuff, we'd, cover this real quick. You got Rise on here, Ashe, Singed, Annie, Kale, Jax, Warwick, Anivia. I'm pretty sure some people don't even use these characters anymore, and a lot of them have been patched to be more viable in the new meta of the game, because a lot of the new characters kind of really got rid of the old characters. But let's see if there's anything else here real quick before we move on to our main topic here. I got a promo code. I believe this gave you the collector's pack, which gave you a champion skin, which I believe was like the Black Alistair and the maybe Goth Annie or something. Really, really old school stuff that we're talking about. And if you were part of the beta, they gave you the Bowser-looking Rammus. I forget what it was called, but it was, it was really cool little things like that they did to make the game neat. I just want to make sure this is the same thing. It looks like I did have an extra promotional code at one point. I doubt they even work anymore, and no, I'm not giving it out, because if I give this to someone and it doesn't work, I'm sure I'm going to get shit for it. So that's that. The League of Legends Collector's Pack that I got from GameStop with a fucking disc, man. That is cool stuff. Just a, a little history right there, going way back to, the original League of Legends. Stuff I really enjoyed when I was a little bit younger. 2009, this game released fully. So, a long time ago. But without any further ado, let's get on to our topic at hand, which is failed MOBAs. So going into our first one, I'd like to talk a little bit about Smash Muck Champions. Smash Muck Champions was a game that was sort of a little mix of everything. It had a bit of a sports feel to it, but while still keeping that MOBA vibe of that top-down, you know, you pick your champion, you pick some abilities and stuff, and then you go out into the field and fight. It was much more fast-paced than League of Legends was, and also had a lot more to do with objective-based stuff. Instead of just taking down a base, it was more like capture the flag, there were territory points and stuff. It was really, really cool. Developed by Kiz Studios in 2013. It did have a pretty good start to its life, and the developers were super, super helpful at the beginning, trying to get, you know, this game to the point where it was going to be something that the players really wanted to come back to time and time again. And for a while it was. However, unfortunately, the app for the game was a little buggy, especially when they released it to Steam, and I guess they just weren't getting the money that they were hoping to get out of it, because this game was free to play, much like other MOBAs out there. And, you know, if people aren't buying the champions and skins and stuff, then it's kind of a losing battle. You can't really keep up development costs and stuff. So they did stop development on the game in, I believe, 2014 or late 2013. It was sad. But the bright side is that they are bringing this game back under a new title called Transgalactic Tournament, and you can actually pick that up on the PS4 right now. Cooler thing is that Kiz Studio promises that when they are ready and they feel that this title is good enough to be ported back to the PC, they will do it. And on top of that, people who did purchase their founder packs will be reimbursed and given that currency in-game or something like it, which I thought was really, really cool and a nice promise to their players. This game was really one of my favorites in that timeline because I was looking for something new instead of League of Legends and Dota 2 and all the damn clones that they had. And while this did play the same as far as, you know, you had QWER as your buttons, you right click to move around and stuff, I did think it was a breath of fresh air just having different modes and stuff as well. It had 5v5, 3v3 maps, a galore, there were tons of them. And I think they did keep it fresh with using cute characters instead of a lot of the dark, serious characters that a lot of MOBAs use nowadays. So on to the next one, I want to talk about Bloodline Champions by Stunlock Studios, released in 2011. Really making a big impact at the beginning because this game used all skill shot based moves for their champions, which is really weird. If you don't know what skill shot is, it's where if, say, you know, it's like Ezreal from League of Legends. If you're going to do a move, you have to point where it's going to land and, you know, hope you hit somebody. It's not just point click on the bad guy and then it automatically does the move for you. Now in League of Legends, there's a handful of champions like this. And Bloodline Champions, every single champion was like this. The healer, the damage guy, your tank, everybody had skill shot moves, which is definitely a new way to go for MOBAs, especially at that time. There weren't a lot of MOBAs out there. I mean, League of Legends only came out in 2009. We had the original Dota out at that point. We had Heroes of New Earth, which, honorable mention, that one isn't doing too well either nowadays. But the game had a lot of success really at the beginning. The only problem was it had a very steep learning curve because a lot of people weren't used to doing these skill shot based moves all the time. Also, the matches were very fast paced, so fast paced in fact, rounds were over in 2 minutes. And there were about, I think it was a total of 5 rounds, best of 3, or best of 5 rather, and the first of 3 won. So it was really interesting at the beginning. However, I think due to the steep learning curve, this is my opinion anyway, due to the steep learning curve, their playership kind of fell off, which that's, you know, not the end of the world, but, you know, due to other things too, the game didn't really develop much after it came out. Almost all the game types that were out at the beginning were the ones that stayed in the game. They didn't really do anything to freshen it up. There weren't really many patches that led to, you know, graphic overhauls, where League of Legends and Dota and those games have had overhauls over the years, especially League of Legends has had quite a couple. However, this game at the beginning did have a lot of success. In 2009, before it was even released, it won Game of the Year and Winner XNA. at the 2009 Swedish Game Awards, which, I mean, that's a pretty big deal. And then the next thing was in 2012, when it first came out, the year after it came out actually, it was featured at DreamHack as one of their big games. And that's a pretty big achievement right there. Not every game is, you know, going to be at DreamHack, so that was a pretty big achievement for them. Now, however, the game has significantly dropped in in playership. Over the years, it's down to about 1,000 at peak hours, which is still, you know, you could probably still find the game, but Stunlock Studios has moved on and they are currently not updating the game anymore. Bright side is they made a new game. You guys have probably heard of it if you're a big fan of MOBAs, and it's called Battle Right. Essentially, it is Bloodline Champions. It's the spiritual successor to it, but it's got a new coat of paint, you know, a nice graphic overhaul. Instead of, you know, sort of patching the game over the years, they just made a brand new one. So you can't really hate them for that, even though that Battle Right isn't free to play like Bloodline Champions was. It's still cheap enough. I believe it's around 20, 25 bucks. And, you know, at that point, the price to play isn't that bad. And if you can unlock all the champions right off the bat like that, hey, not a bad deal. So more power to them, and I hope Battle Right really takes off, because that was a really cool game and an interesting game mechanic. Having all these different matches like the, you know, capture the flag territories just shoved into a 2-minute, like, literal clusterfuckery of frantic skill shots going back and forth. I really did enjoy the game when it was out. I didn't play it too much, but I did play for a few months with my friends, and we all had a great time playing it. Back then, the launchers for these things were a little archaic, and I remember Battle Rights being the most confusing out of all of them. And they had a lot of little add-ons that added to the confusion, like little icons you could add and stuff. It got a little nuts. They had clans and stuff too, like most MOBAs do nowadays, but theirs was a little bit more convoluted than others. So this brings me to the last game I want to talk about, which is near and dear to my heart, and this one just kind of fell off the face of the map and really scarred me from playing indie games for a while. Well, not indie games, but just going into new MOBA games and getting attached to them, because, you know, you don't want to go and dump money into a game, especially buying characters, outfits, and stuff, getting cool stuff. You know, especially if you want to support the developer and everything, and then just close up shop and be like, well, sorry. So the one I want to talk about right now is Super Monday Night Combat. This game was a sequel to the original Monday Night Combat, which was out on consoles. They did a big overhaul, added a lot of features, and made it a free-to-play, basically, MOBA game, which was called Super Monday Night Combat, and it was really great. It was made by Uber Entertainment, and I believe it came out in 2012, 2011, around there. A really cool game, was received well at PAX Prime when it first debuted, and had a good beta process for a while, all through, I believe, 2011. However, the game was released accidentally on Steam in 2012 and was met with some controversy because the launcher wasn't really great. A lot of the bugs were kind of crappy under load, some of them game breaking, and they never really got fixed. But a little bit more about the game. It was sort of, actually this was in a time where Battleborn, Paragon, Overwatch weren't a thing. You just had Team Fortress 2. So Uber Entertainment took the League of Legends formula, which was, all right, you know, mobs come out of a base, they go to the other base, they destroy it. The two things stopping the status quo here is the player-controlled characters in the middle, but instead of them having be top down with, you know, a right click to move around and the QWER for your moves, we're gonna control this like a normal third-person shooter. That's right, this game was a third-person shooter way back when, before, you know, any of these other games were out, which was really cool. So you had these minions coming out and everything. You were able to, you know, control with these awesome shooter controls and everything. It really felt like you had the most absolute tight control over the characters possible in a MOBA, and it was really cool. All these characters had really different vibes to them, and the best thing was it took place almost like in a Smash TV setting, for those of you big arcade guys out there, which was really neat. If you don't know what Smash TV is, it's kind of like Hunger Games, but much more gory and much more post-apocalyptic, like more like Mad Max meets Hunger Games. That's what I would probably call it. And it was really cool. And this was sort of the more like cartoony version of that. It took place in this big game show arena. You had all these crazy commentators coming up over the PA that you could hear. I believe one of them was called GG Stack, another one was called Mickey Cantor, and it was a huge deal when it came out, and it was met with such great praise. And I gotta say, I had a lot of fun playing this. My friends and I played it for months and months and months on end. However, these game-breaking bugs that I was talking about earlier did take its toll, and they never did fix them. And I guess because that they didn't fix them, the user base sort of gave up on the company, which led to them getting less money, and which led to them ultimately stopping updates for the game, which is sad, especially for a game that I thought was so great and was so unique at the time. You know, again, Battleborn and these games only came out in 2016. We're talking 5 years before that this game was in beta, already doing what those do now. Now, the game has had a bit of a resurgence of popularity due to the fact that these games like Battleborn and Overwatch are coming out, and they're coming up on Steam-related lists that, oh, if you like this game, you might like that game. However, Uber Entertainment hasn't really done anything to fix the game, even though the game has gained slightly more popularity now. And it's really not picking up. There is no official statement by them that they'll be picking up the game. But who knows? If you guys go back to it, maybe you can check it out. Just so you know, most of these games, so 2 of these games, save for Smash Muck Champions, are available on Steam to play. The servers are still open, but you're going to have to probably muddle through some bugs and stuff to play them. I think probably Bloodborne is the most polished out of all 3 of them. And God bless if you can find a way to play Smash Muck Champions. That'd be pretty cool. But yeah, those are unfortunately, to me anyway, my top 3 for, you know, failed MOBAs that really didn't make it. Do you agree? Do you disagree? You can always send us an email at mail@geekade.com, or you can just shoot a tweet at me directly on Twitter at @kimono_vestlord. I hope to see you in the next video. And until then, keep on gaming.